y'all know my first first son, just got married last month, and it was a young lady. I mean, he had been through searching for somebody, and I was involved, and and whenever he came to me after he met this young lady that was online, and we started going through the discussion, a lot of green lights were saying, proceed, proceed, proceed. Yeah, that's the kind of sounds like a possibility. But you need to go physically see this young lady and her family and her surroundings and her activities, and see, if, because just this online stuff, I don't put a whole lot of trust in that. People could talk a good show, and then you get in person with them, and it's nothing like what you anticipated. So he did that, and things proceeded, obviously. Wonderful young lady, great family, looks like they're going to have a wonderful life together. But after they got married, oddly enough, they go on their honeymoon, and they live where she is, so that's 9 hours away. So we not going to get to see her much. So they decided to come swing by our place and stay with us for a week before going back to start their own home and family life. And we went to, they came to Mass with us that Sunday, came to Mass with us a few times during the week. But anyway, and then we took them to brunch at Flanagan's. Y'all know Flanagan's. And the coinky-dinky thing about that was that that's one of the places my wife and I went on our first date. And we actually sat at the table one table away from that table where she and I sat, and we had that discussion. I remember it vividly, over what our hopes and dreams and desires and aspirations and what we wanted to do with our life. And again, she and I, obviously, a lot of things clicked off. Now, 28 years down the road, it's about a 20-year vision. 20 years ago, I had no anticipation of where I'd be right now. None. Nothing like what was planned. As far as, I guess, the externals. I mean, my family life, yeah, pretty much straight, yeah. But my work life, the faith, the way I practice, she and I met in church. We talking about met in church. We really did meet in church. But the way we practiced the faith then and the way we practice it now is almost opposite. It's pretty much night and day. But again, we grew together. And I remember I had a boss. He was Protestant, but he had been married longer than me, obviously. And he had said, people change, and you just need to change together, because people are going to change over time. And so what I'm talking about here is to be able to do this thing, and it says put wife first, but have a partnership where you're going to work together and execute a long-term vision. I mean, you really got to be, right there with each other, hip to hip. And what I want to focus and emphasize is communication and time. And the communication has got to be beyond. What tends to happen is we get buried in the details, right? The day-to-day life is so active, so much going on. That's why I prefer to homeschool. One of the many reasons is that you see kids out there, and it's like, I don't know how. It's a good thing they don't have a bunch of kids. How they keep track of everything they constantly going and on. There's no way. I just don't see how you can manage that. And so we're still pretty active, but we control that, how much we're going to do. And I can back down and rein in and say, we're doing too much, or we need to just stick to these things. These are the things that are really working for us and making it happen for us. These other things we just need to tone them down or let them go all together. But a lot of the motivators, I mean, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, the one I'm listening to right now almost exclusively is Jim Fannin. He talks, the way he puts it, he says, you got to go to higher ground. And he would have, he remembers as a little kid, he grew up in what he calls in Appalachia, Kentucky, and he he had, I think, an Indian background. His grandfather would take him out in the woods. And he'd say, Jimmy, if you ever get lost, go up to higher ground, because then you'll be able to see where it is that you're coming from and find your way home. And he says, you know, a lot of them recommend you do this weekly. Go to higher ground. And I'm going to say, as couples, you know, having some kind of away time or alone time to be able to just reassess, okay, where are we in executing our mission here? You know, and what are the issues? And, you know, beyond just day to day, you know, I know I need to bring Katie here on this day and Johnny here on that day. But how are these things happening for us in executing our mission and accomplishing what we want to accomplish for our family? You know, I guess I can. This is gonna be my final main point. It's getting long, but marriage is the major leagues. Don't mistake it. The highest level of the game. I mean, just stop and think, okay, you're into something that is imaging the Trinity, and you are procreating humanity with God. Pretty high stakes. Okay, so it's up there. So if you're in Little League, you're lucky to get a pitch over the plate, and it's going to be this big, and it's going to be straight. You know, easy to deal with. Major leagues, watch the curveball. The older dads here are going to know what I'm talking about. There's going to be stuff that's going to come that you never saw coming. And I could see why, if a couple is not solid, if they're not together, how it could devastate a relationship if you're not, you know, paired up and on the same page. There's stuff that just happens, you just, through no fault of anybody. Where did that come from? And just be ready for it. Just be ready, you know, be ready to be able to hit the curveball. You got to be able to do it. And that's where, again, staying in a state of grace, praying together, you know, all the things, we know all the things, the sacrament, you know, all the things that we have available to us to be able to do this thing we're talking about. So finally, just, you know, as a wrap, as he puts it, you know, we're here to raise adults, we're not here to raise kids. And in the couple relationship, the husband and wife relationship is going to be the key foundation upon which to do that. God bless you.